It's Steve from SnkrTechTalk, back with another video today. For today's video, we will be taking a look at the performance review of the Adidas Harden Volume 9. Alright, really quickly before we get into the shoes, unfortunately I did sustain an injury while playing in these. Has nothing to do with the shoes. You know, about a year to a year and a half ago, I was having some really bad plantar fasciitis, issues with my right foot, to the point where in the mornings it was very hard to walk, and just to the point where it was causing me issues on the basketball court. Through orthotics and just some workouts, it did go away for about a year now, and then just this past week it did flare up again at work, kind of in my work boots and just moving around a lot all week. To the point where I was having some issues Friday night. Saturday I woke up feeling a little bit better, and then on Sunday I did rupture my plantar. It's going to be a bit of a road to recovery. Some people say 6 to 8 weeks. Some people say 10 to 16 weeks. Time will tell on how bad it is once I see the podiatrist, but I did want to mention that it had nothing to do with the shoes. I did spend around 8 to 10 hours in the Harden Volume 9. So without further ado, let's get into the performance review. Alright, so as always with all of my performance reviews, starting with the traction. Now you can see here, this traction pattern is very similar to the Harden Volume 8. You kind of have these spiral wound portions in the forefoot that do lead to the same in the heel. You do have a semi-translucent portion of this rubber compound here in the middle with the pink, and then it's kind of like a semi-translucent portion here with the purple as well. You have some solid rubber portions here in the forefoot in black, and then the Adidas logo in the heel. And how this traction pattern performs on clean floors is elite. It's with the best of the best. You're not going to have any issues. Now, where this traction pattern does struggle a bit, as you can see right here, they're pretty dirty, is dirty floors. You will have to wipe every 3 or 4 plays. There was a portion where I didn't wipe for like a whole 20 minutes and I never slid out, but I did notice that the kind of traction was not as good as when I was wiping. So as long as you're wiping this outsole, if you're playing on a really dirty floor, you'll be good to go. Clean floors, no issues at all. As far as bringing these outdoors, the rubber compound is pretty soft and it is pretty shallow as well. So I don't think I would bring this outsole outdoors. I think you would shred through these in the first or second session. But as far as indoors go, I had a very fun time here on the Harden Volume 9 as far as the traction goes. All of my linear movements, all of my lateral movements were good to go. And that's why these are going to score a very solid 8.5 out of 10. Now, as far as the cushioning goes, you are getting a light boost midsole housed within this upper right here, and they are saying light strike online as well. I don't know if it's actually just jet boost like it was last year, blogs and websites, because that's where these did release, was over in Asia. They're saying it is a light boost / light strike setup, and how these feel underfoot honestly is more or less the same as last year and pretty much the same as the Adidas AE1. It's very plush in the heel. You get a ton of impact protection at the back of the shoe while maintaining that really close to the floor kind of feeling up front. You still have a pretty nice and bouncy feeling at the front of the shoe, but in my opinion, the setup on the Adidas Harden Volume 9 was very much adequate for my playstyle and just very enjoyable underfoot as far as the comfort goes. Now, underneath the insole, you can see kind of this little hole in the bottom right here. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it in the video. I will throw up a photo if you can't, but the boost is basically directly under the insole. The insole is really crappy. That's possibly one of the reasons I had the issue I did with my injury with the plantar issue. Is the insole is very thin and flimsy. I did not put my move insoles in this shoe when I did go to play in them on court in my run. I'm not saying it's the shoe's fault because I was already having underfoot pain, but I think the move insole definitely would have helped a lot. But as far as the cushioning goes, it is very plush underfoot. The only thing is it feels a little bit clunky to start out because you do kind of have this double lasted midsole where it's all kind of housed within the shoe, and then the rubber does wrap up as well. You get a lot of compression underfoot, but it just kind of feels slappy here at the back of the shoe. Once you get used to it, it's really no issue at all. I think basically positions 1 through 5 can play in this because the Boost kind of eTPU style foam setup is very plush and nice underfoot. So sound off in the comments if you guys have played in these and what you guys think of the cushioning. But for me, it's a very solid setup, and that's why they're going to score a very nice 9 out of 10. Now, as far as the fit goes, I did go over this in my initial review, but for me, I went true to size with my usual size 10.5, and my toe is right near the end of the shoe right here. Just keep in mind, like I said, it is a little bit narrow here in the forefoot, to the point where I think if you are a wide footer, you are just going to want to try this on in store. I more or less have a normal foot. It's not wide at all, and I was able to go true to size with just a touch of room here in the forefoot. For me, I would say stick to whatever size you have played in for the AE1 with the Adidas Harden Volume 9, and you should be good to go. You do have some nice Achilles pillows at the back of the shoe, and then this sock liner is really comfortable. It's kind of like a booty construction with this sock liner right here, so it's overall a pretty comfortable basketball shoe. Just keep in mind, if you are a wide footer, I would probably recommend going up half a size. As far as the materials go, you're really getting nothing premium at all. Starting at the back of the shoe, you do have this kind of plastic carbon fiber print right here. It's very much the same that you do get on the Adidas AE1. On top of that, you kind of have this faux suede or nubuck material right here, which is honestly a pretty nice addition to this model right here. It kind of adds a premium touch, or at least as far as the look goes. As far as the upper of this basketball shoe, it is a synthetic material. It almost feels like a really short-haired nubuck, but I'm not sure exactly what they're using, but I can tell you right now it's definitely a synthetic material that does take a little bit of time to break in, because at the toe box, it does kind of bend a little awkward, and you can see it creases really bad. The other pairs with kind of the patent leather upper, I think they're gonna crease horrendous. But as far as this one right here, you can definitely see a couple of the lines. That happens with use, obviously, with basketball shoes, but it is a synthetic upper with that snake skin like print running throughout. And then you have these screen mesh portions right here that kind of look like teardrops for the 3 stripes for Adidas. And for that, you are getting a lot of breathability because there's really no backing at the back of this screen mesh, and that allows for some really nice airflow. And then the sock liner, like I already mentioned, it's a really thin material with a little bit of like a spandex kind of touch to it. It acts like a sock on your foot. So as far as materials go, again, really nothing premium on the upper of this model right here, but everything just works in conjunction with one another to make this a very enjoyable experience on foot. And that's why the materials are going to get a pretty solid 8 out of 10. As far as the weight goes for this model right here, again, this is a US size 10.5. and these come in at 16 ounces even. So all things considered, this isn't overly a lightweight basketball shoe, but I can tell you right now it's lighter than last year's Adidas Harden Volume 8 and definitely lighter than the Adidas AE1. So all things considered, this doesn't feel overly heavy on foot. And then last but not least, as far as the support goes with this model right here, starting at the back of the shoe, you do have an internal TPU heel counter, which does a fantastic job of locking your foot in at the back of this shoe right here. And then you have this faux kind of carbon fiber plastic plate right here, which kind of adds an external layer as far as the heel counter goes. As far as the rubber cup outsole right here, it does wrap up to the heel on both the lateral and the medial side to add as kind of a support frame for your foot, seated, housed within that rubber cup sole. Everything just within the back of the shoe really locks your foot down nicely and makes sure that your foot isn't going anywhere. Moving your way down from that, this upper is very strong on foot. When you take any hard lateral cuts, it really houses your foot in nicely on the upper of the Adidas Harden Volume 9, as long as you're getting your proper true to size fit and you really snug the laces up within this model right here. You do kind of have a hidden lacing system, so if you really crank these laces down, this upper really conforms and wraps around your foot very nicely. So that is one thing I would mention. As long as you really crank these laces down, I don't think you'll have any hiccups within this model. And then again, this rubber cup sole wraps up ever so slightly on both sides of the shoes to kind of house your foot in within this basketball shoe. Moving your way to the bottom, it's not an overly wide and stable base here on the forefoot, but you do have a kind of Y frame shank plate right here, which is plastic. As you can see, where the frame doesn't go, it's very soft because of the boost, but everywhere the frame does sit, it's very firm to the touch, and it just adds a ton of torsional rigidity where you need it on the midfoot, while still maintaining pretty decent forefoot flex at the front of this hoop shoe. So all things considered, I think this is a very supportive basketball shoe for positions 1 through 5. You're not going to have too many hiccups at all. One thing I do wish it had was kind of an outrigger right here. It doesn't really have an overly wide frame or flange here on the side of the shoe. I think that would just be the icing on the cake. But overall, I think this is a very nice and supportive basketball shoe. Another thing to do with that kind of Y frame at the bottom, once you do kind of load the shoe to run or jump, it does kind of propel you forward, whether you're running forward or jumping. So I do think that is a very nice strong point, of this hoop shoe, is having that TPU shank plate at the bottom of the Harden Volume 9. So that's going to do it for today's performance review on this model right here. Sound off in the comments what you guys think of the performance if you've tried them thus far. Obviously, this colorway was kind of like an Asia exclusive colorway that I did pick up on eBay from ID4 Shoes, but I do think it's a very nice model. And as far as the aesthetics go, this is a very loud design, and I love loud designs on court. I love the upper material, kind of the design of the side of the shoe with kind of these 3 teardrops that do kind of resemble the Adidas logo. The faux carbon fiber print at the back is a nice touch, and just the lacing system kind of keeping it the same with that inner booty is also a very nice touch with this model. So sound off in the comments what you guys think of the aesthetics, but for me, it's definitely a go. And again, I have performance tested a bunch of shoes that are on backlog right now, so I do need to get those videos out. But as far as anything new in the next month or two, I'm kind of gonna be on a standstill as far as what I'm able to do because of my injury with the ruptured plantar fascia issues. So again, very sorry for that. I am a one-man show. I love what I do here on YouTube. Obviously, with my injury right now, that is going to kind of set me back, but I'm going to try and put out a ton of videos as far as the performance shoes that I have tested, some new pickups that I have, and I honestly think I kind of want to start detailing my collection. I have, 200 or 300 shoes, a ton of models that I do think a lot of you guys would be interested in seeing. Sound off in the comments if you guys are interested in seeing kind of a collection video, maybe one by one or as a whole. But again, thanks for watching today's video on the Adidas Harden Volume 9 performance review. But as always, thanks for watching today's video, and until next time, peace.